And a warning for our following item, folks. It contains distressing details. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has shared horrific images of babies that were allegedly killed by Hamas with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who's in Israel at the moment. Earlier this week, Israeli military officials claimed at least 40 babies and young children were killed by Hamas, some of them even decapitated. However, the Israeli government has now not confirmed that latter claim. But Mr Blinken became emotional when describing his reaction to images of victims that were shown to him.
A baby, an infant, riddled with bullets. Soldiers beheaded. Young people burned alive in their cars or in their hideaway rooms. I could go on, but it's simply depravity in the worst imaginable way.
The opposition leader has rejected claims that the message from the ASIO boss to tone down language was directed at him. Live to Trudy McIntosh in Canberra. What's his reaction been, Trudy?
Well, Peter Dutton has also doubled down, Pete, on his call to tear up visas of anyone who was at that protest at the Sydney Opera House earlier in the week, if they are in fact visa holders. The Prime Minister replied within minutes, and he says if Peter Dutton has any information that there were temporary visa holders there, he should pass that information on to the authorities. This, as the ASIO boss warns all political leaders, anyone involved in this debate, to be careful about language because of the concern that we could see opportunistic violence at any moment. This is the statement from Mike Burgess, a rare intervention from him. He says in this context, it's important that all parties consider the implications for social cohesion. It goes on to say that words matter and that ASIO has seen a direct connection between inflamed language and inflamed community tension. Mr Dutton revealed he spoke to the ASIO boss before the statement went public, and he says the statement wasn't directed at him.
I'm sure if Mr Burgess had a message to deliver to me, he'd deliver it privately. I mean, you can run with the chat of the background that the Prime Minister's office is doing at the moment, or you can draw the logical conclusion is that Mr Burgess was talking about people who are suggesting that Jews should be gassed, or F Israel, or F the Jews. That I suspect is the language that he's talking about.
More than 1,600 Australians have registered now with DFAT to get on these repatriation flights out of Israel. So far, 3 have been chartered. The first one, the PM says, is leaving today, so Friday local time in Israel, and it will head to London with around 250 people on board. Another 2 will leave in coming days. There's a potential need for more, obviously. The PM has revealed that Qantas asked staff to volunteer to take part in what could be a dangerous operation, and they said they had way more than they actually needed in terms of crew. We've also had an update today about 19 Australians who are registered with DFAT in Gaza. They too want to leave, but that is increasingly incredibly difficult, I should say. This is one of the families in that situation, an Adelaide family, a husband and wife and their 2 children. They have been in contact with DFAT trying to get out, and say they've been told to try and go via Egypt if that's possible. This is the PM on how that could potentially happen.
We're speaking with the Egyptian government as well about how we get those people out of that area into safety as well. This is a complex exercise, but Australia once again is doing what we can. And I'm very sympathetic with everyone who is there.
We're not the only ones. The US Secretary of State has also revealed, Pete, they're talking to the Egyptians to see whether they can make a safe passage for civilians out of Gaza. At this stage, that's not happening.
OK, Trudy McIntosh with the latest there from Canberra. And just further to Trudy's first point on protests, it's interesting that this breaking news courtesy of BBC. France has banned all pro-Palestinian demonstrations in the country. Again, this from the BBC. France has banned all pro-Palestinian protests that were planned in the country. In a statement, the government ordered the foreign nationals who break the rules to be systematically deported. So that's some interesting language and an interesting development that has come from France that may or may not apply to here, because at this stage, protests are scheduled to take place this weekend, not just in Sydney, but also Brisbane and Melbourne.